Hi, everybody. I'm Stacy.
And I'm her daughter, Mickey.
And welcome to KiddieNomics. Thank you, everybody, for joining on another Fun-Filled Fridays of KiddieNomics. So, first, as usual, before I get into our special guest today, who is our returning guest from last week, Miss Jackie, we are just going to start as usual. We're going to start by me sharing the screen, right? So let me share. Okay, can everybody see my screen? I think you can. All right, so first, you'd always like to thank all the new kiddies that have joined today. Welcome to KiddieNomics. If this is your first time, don't worry. We're super welcoming here, and you'll find in the chat the kids will welcome you and say hi. They're always very nice. We try to make sure that we maintain a very safe community here at KiddieNomics. So this is for ages 8 to 13, but we have kids that are younger and kids that are older that do join us, right? And of course, we want to always thank the returning kiddies that are here week after week. Thank you very much for joining KiddieNomics this week. And so let's get into what KiddieNomics is all about, right? What is KiddieNomics? So KiddieNomics will help kids ages 8+ to develop a healthy relationship towards financial literacy, helping to start kids off on the right path to have a successful financial future. That's what we want for all the kiddies around the globe. That's what we want for you. That's what I want for you.
And you.
And me. And Miss Jackie. That's what we want for all the kiddies to have a very, very successful financial future, no matter what it is that you want to be and where it is that you want to go. It doesn't matter what country you live in. It doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have. You always will need financial literacy skills, right? So a few housekeeping items. First, we always like to thank our first responders and all of our health people that have been keeping us safe and healthy throughout this time. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And just to remind everybody that we do like to maintain a very safe community here. So to remind you that we cannot see or hear any of the kiddies on KiddieNomics. So we can only talk to you through the chat box down below. So if you have a question, please put your hand up if you want to, or just type the question in the chat box. So if you raise your hand, please also type the question in the chat box so I can read it out and see exactly what it is, and then we'll get that question answered for you. Also, if you guys recall our KiddieNomics webinar that we had with Miss Hadriana Leo, and that talked about online money smarts, right? And we want to maintain a very safe community here on KiddieNomics. So always remember, please, please, please never type any of your personal information into KiddieNomics, right? Yeah, never type that.
No.
I don't need to know how old you are, where do you live, your full name. Don't type any of that. I know you kiddies like to get to know each other on KiddieNomics, but please do not type any of your personal information into the chat box, okay?
You never know who could be on.
That's right. You never know who could be on. She's super smart.
Because you never know if there's a hacker and it's like a cover undercover of outside, like undercover of as like someone that's new, and then they come and hack into your
we don't want any hackers.
And after you
okay, yeah. So we don't want to have any hackers. So just never type any of your personal information, right? Okay. So let's get on to a bright note. Today we have presenting on KiddieNomics, we have the returning, the phenomenal, the amazing Miss Jackie Brown with that nice smile, right? Miss Jackie Brown is a writer, an editor, and publishing coach. So today we're going to talk about book publishing for kids, right? So last week we spoke about book writing, right? So how do you gather your thoughts to put it into print and to organize it, right? To put it into a book, and what is a book and how you do all of that. So now if you have your book ready, because there's a lot of kids out here that love to write and you guys are so creative. We love that. So now that you guys have created your books, so you may want to sell those books, right? Let's start generating some income for you, right? Some KiddieNomics money, some kiddipreneurs out there. So we are going to do book publishing for kids today on KiddieNomics. So Miss Jackie Brown, is a writer, as I said, editor, and publishing coach. He helps people write, publish, market, and sell their books. She has a BSc in environmental science from the University of Toronto and a master's degree in environmental chemistry from the University of Bedfordshire in England. Why do I always mess that one up? The first books and reports she worked on were all scientific, super smart, scientific subjects. After working with traditional publishers and then with a literary agency, plus due to her own interest in writing fiction, she expanded and now she does all kinds of books. Her favorite part of the business is working with authors outside of work. And her favorite things to do are writing and journaling and quilting, embroidery, and crocheting. She loves to watch TV shows as they are all based on stories, but her main passion is her family. She has 2 sons and 2 daughters, and we all live in Bowmanville, or they all live in Bowmanville with her pets, 1 dog, 3 cats, and a hedgehog called Bug. I gotta ask you, why is your hedgehog called Bug? That's a funny name to have, but it looks like you have a full house there. We'd like to give a very big KiddieNomics welcome to Miss Jackie Brown. Welcome, Miss Jackie. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a lovely welcome. I'm so pleased to be back here again to talk more about my favorite subject, which is books, publishing, and how to make some money at that. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now. Thank you, Nicole. I just saw your welcome. So here we go. Right. So, oops. So we are going to talk this week about how to market and sell your book, but also about how to publish it. Because last week we talked about just writing and then we stopped right there. So first I'm going to talk a bit about how to get the next step, which is called publishing. I'm assuming that the screen sharing is all fine, Stacey?
Yeah, we can see you. Perfect.
Perfect. Okay. So, summary from last week. Last week we talked about how to find ideas about your writing topics and how to test them, which is just to see that you actually can, that you have enough material to write about something. If you get an idea and you can only write a sentence, then it might not be the one you want to write a book about. We talked about getting organized through creating an outline. We talked about writing, and then after you write it, you have to edit, which means that you make sure the book, the way you've told your story, is the best way possible. Once you've finished editing your book, you illustrate it and you design it. So today, what we're going to go over is how to publish your book, how to make money with books, what's a book launch, and how to keep people engaged with you as an author so that you can make money from making books. First question, just how do you publish a book? So,
or maybe we don't even understand, Miss Jackie, like what is book publishing?
Exactly, because what we have here is someone writing first, and then we have someone illustrating. So what publishing is, I'm going to give you the answer because it's kind of a wee bit complicated. It's a way of putting those elements together so that you can sell it. And the idea is to put them together so well that you can produce loads of them, because you can do it yourself and, and create individual ones. But what if you wanted to sell 10 of them? It would be hard or take you a long time to do that. So you might want to put it through your computer or photocopy it, scan it, and then create a book. But certainly you're not going to want to have to hand write every single book, hand draw every single book in order to produce enough to sell, because you certainly can't make any money if you've got to do each one by hand. So that's what publishing is. It's taking the story, adding any design, illustrations, putting it through a computer, and then what do you get at the end? A book. But there's more than one type of book, isn't there? There's the type of books that like your textbooks, the books you love to read. whether they're hard, all these ones are hardback really, but you know, they come in paperback, they come in different sizes, they come some with just words, some with illustrations. And then in the middle, you see that that's a book too, one of the ones that you can get on your iPads or your tablets or cell phones. So now that's a modern age book that you can produce a digital version. So one of the key differences you can see between a hardcover and one on your computer is you can't even tell how long a book is when it's on your computer, can you? You open it up based on the cover, and inside you can read it as you can with a paperback, but with a paper book, you can pick it up, you can put it down, you can open it in the middle, you can flip pages, you can mark it up a bit. So on the digital readers, the people who created the software try to do similar things to that. So you'll find that with a digital type of book, you can underline pages, you can actually do things like make almost like a bookmark within them, but these are all a totally different experience, but it's still a book, isn't it? I have a question for people before we go on to the third book there, because actually I'm going to tell you a bit about that before I ask you this question.
Sorry, Miss Mickey
has
a question.
Oh, wonderful, Mickey. What's your question?
I said I love questions.
Oh, she's saying she loves questions.
Well, okay, then I'm going to ask the question first. How many people have a digital reader? How many people read books on their iPad or their cell phone? Do you, Mickey?
You do? Yes, she does. Because in school, she reads a lot of books online.
All right.
Let me see what the kiddies say.
I used to have this like reading app, and then I have to read my books.
Yes. Let me see what the kiddies say. So Janaya says she does. Koi says I do. Egypt says not I do from Audrey. Catherine says yep. Adonis says I do. Egypt says flipping pages and getting paper cuts is much more fun.
Yeah. And
I highly prefer having a hard copy to the book, right? Like I like to have the book in my hand and read. I'm such an avid reader, but I don't like digital copies myself. Yeah. So let me see. Elias says, I used to. Dahima says, sometimes. Koi says, at school, I have over 27 computers. You do? Oh, in your class. Yes. Oh. Thomas says, I read articles more than a book. Oh, that's smart. Mm-hmm. And Joel, I did answer your question, so please go back in our KiddieNomics comments and you'll see my answer there.
Yeah, so there's so many pros and cons. Well, not even pros and cons, reasons that people like one version over the other. And some of the reasons people like them, just like Miss Stacy was saying, is that with a paper copy, you can flip through, and those wonderful paper cuts that someone mentioned as well. And with a tablet, though, you can have that whole stack of books in that little tablet, and it's not going to break your back when you put that in your backpack. But imagine trying to put all those books in your backpack. So that's one of the benefits of having a tablet. You can have your whole library in there. You can carry all your books at once if you want. And that's why a lot of people do like that form of books. But the fact is that when you have a book, that sometimes you want to make sure that people can buy whichever version they like. So if some of your customers like a digital copy, you're going to want to provide them with one. And if people want a print copy, then you provide them with one of those too. But if it's your preference, then you don't have to do that. For example, I mentioned last week that I do a magazine called Outfox Magazine. I don't do a digital version of that. And the reason that is only printed is because a lot of parents are trying to reduce the amount of time that kids spends on screens, because we do spend a lot of time on screens, especially with school now. For lots of us, it's online with the change in the world and everything. So having a physical book is like, it's also good to mix it up with your eyes a bit. You know, you don't always be staring at a screen. So when you have a book, you're looking at something else. So this third coffee type of book that you see there called Honeybee, it was written by my friend. So she did everything we talked about before. She wrote it, she put pictures in it, and she put it in a computer. But rather than making it like, you know, creating a book like that, which involves taking it to professional printer or putting it on an iPad, she decided to print them out on her printer and make them small. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy with me, so I just have that photograph to show you. And you know what she did? In each of those, she put little things in it. So she pretty much handmade books and sold them. So each of them had this little girl. And you know, these wings that she has, they're actually rose petals. And then she put a button and a dime in each of them because it had something to do with the story. And her story was 32 poems that she created a book at home, but still the process she made meant that she could make a lot of them. She didn't have to handwrite each of them. She put it to her computer, and then once it was all printed, she folded it up, stapled it, and so she actually sold 500 of these. So high five, yes, Miss Stacy. She sold 500 copies of this book.
Question, Miss Jackie. How much did she sell each book for?
She sold them for $24.
So she had, can somebody tell me in the chat how much money she made? So she sold 500 copies and each copy was $24.
500.
So 500 times 24. Whoever gives me this answer at the end will win a prize today. The first person though that gives me the answer. Let me see.
How's that impossible, Mommy?
Let me see. Sorry, Miss Jackie, 1 second.
No worries, no worries. I'd like to know how much she made too. I gave her $24, as you can see, and it was so nice to receive this in the mail. Oh my gosh.
That is so awesome. That is such a genius idea, right? Printing
Yeah.
copies. Okay, Thomas. Thomas is the winner.
Yes! 12,000.
Congratulations. So
12,000 after you said 12,000, Thomas. All right, Thomas, I'll show you your prize at the end. And Koi, I'll show you your prize too.
What about my prize?
You'll get a prize too.
right. So I just thought I'd talk a bit about homemade books for a while, because I know that someone mentioned that he does comics. I think last week someone mentioned, and so I'm not sure how he puts them all together. I saw a YouTube video today about someone who makes comics, and he photocopies them and sells them, but he hand draws everything, creates a comic, and then he sells them. And so I put a picture of Honeybee here because that's homemade. And then this is the version that someone else made. And look at these fun ways you can make books. You can make pop-up books just like you buy in the store. The only thing is that if you're trying to make money from them, it's a bit harder because you can't make that many with, doing them by hand as you can make if you create them through a printing company, but maybe you only want to sell 25 or so. And that is definitely a worthwhile project because it's fun to do. You make a bit of money, and boy, would people like to have something that you home make and sell. So next topic, money, 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 money. I have a question now. Who here likes money? Can you find out how many? Yeah, or maybe the question should be, is there anyone here who does not like money?
I don't think you're going to get it.
Yeah.
I like money.
I like money. Yeah.
Alea says me. Giovanni says, I think like everybody likes money, I think.
Of course. And so, yeah, so money isn't always the only reason you do something. And so when you're doing something like a book, considering I've told you that sometimes it takes a lot of work and you might not sell that many, you have to consider the various reasons you do a book. One of them is, and you know what's funny is for many people who write books, money isn't the top reason. What other reasons might someone write a book? Yes, Mickey?
To help people learn about what's in the book.
That's right. That's a great reason.
Right? We wrote a book called I Will Own a Castle. And our book is to help kids learn how to learn saving and investing skills. And we didn't write it based on how much money we would make. We wrote it so that we would just help other kids learn just the skills about how to save and invest your money.
Right. Does anyone else have any other reasons you might write a book?
Let's see. What do the kids say? Audrey says, I don't like money. I like to spend money.
I'm with her. I'm with you.
Oh, goodness, Audrey.
She spends on everything.
Giovanni says, well, why wouldn't you like money? So, okay. So Giovanni says entertainment. You would create a book for entertainment. Egypt says enjoyment. When you have so much money, don't you like it more? And so you may not like it anymore. Sorry, Egypt. Yes. Audrey says, because reading is their escape from the world. Yes, that's why I love to read. I love that. Yeah. Koi, I just save. Okay, Janaya says, me too. And money is crucial to life. I don't know. Adonis, can you retype your question for me, please, your answer? So I'll read it again. And then Maya, I love to save money. Maya, yay! Good question, or that's a good answer. We're going to get into that after.
Yeah, I like to save money.
Yeah, because definitely money is one of the reasons to do this. But because you don't necessarily make a lot of money in publishing, there's usually other reasons as well as making money that you do it. And some of them, like you said, like people said, is because it's fun to make books. And so you do it for the joy. You do it because you want to help other people. You do it because it feels good to have your name on a book. You do it for attention, to gain a bit of fame. Because when you have a book out, people think, oh my gosh, that person must know a lot in order to have produced a whole book on whatever that subject is. So there are a lot of reasons why you write a book, and of course money is an important factor. But be aware that just because you do a book and it might not make a lot of money, that doesn't mean it's not a success. You consider why you're doing a book, and then you'll have lots of reasons that you can see that the whole endeavor is a successful one. Because it gives you attention, because it makes you feel awesome, because you help people, and because, of course, it makes you some money. So how do you sell a book? So if you have a book that's on sale today, there's a number of ways you would sell it. You'd sell it on Amazon, and you would sell it in a bookstore. You could sell it on your website. You could sell it anywhere you are. If you were at church and you had a table, you could sell it there. You could sell it by going door to door. You could sell it by talking to your family. Just like other things, there's loads of ways of selling books. But the two main ones that people think of are the ones you see here, in a bookstore and on Amazon. Amazon is a place where most books are sold, especially during COVID, because not many people are going to the bookstores. The fun thing about having your book in a bookstore is that people browse. And so even if they haven't heard of your book, they'll go and they'll look at other things, and they might pick yours up. However, the way a lot of people buy books nowadays is they'll think, I want a book on how to, Mickey, if you were looking for a book, what kind of book might you look for?
A scary book, a mystery book, or
exactly.
Yeah, she loves history, like a lot.
Yeah, so you might think, I'd love to know the history of a particular place, or even you might just type in history and lots of history books would come up, and then you would select one. So that's what's great about Amazon. And
She has a special love for Harriet Tubman. She
Oh, yeah.
books and a lot of videos, and she really loves Harriet Tubman.
Wow. I love her story too. I just finished this book called, what's it called? The Water Dancer. And it's it's a best-selling book right now. And in fact, I didn't have this in my notes, but I'll tell you a bit about what a best-selling book is. So, but first of all, to finish this discussion on selling books. So for example, when you're selling a book, you want to know like why, like what's wonderful about your book. Because if you're on someplace like Amazon, people have to consider how to find it. So if someone was looking for a book like this one, this book is I helped someone write this book. It's called Witness, and it's about Liberia, a country in Africa. So someone might put in books about Liberia. They might put in books by, if they knew this gentleman, they might put his name in. They might put in, the words that you type in are called keywords. And so a big feature of how you sell a book on Amazon is by considering the type of things that someone might type in order to find your book. Yes, can I help you? What's your question?
One of the kiddies have a really good question. Koi wants to know, some books say New York Times bestseller. What does that mean? Can they search by that? Like, what does that mean?
Yes, you can definitely search by that. And because so many books get that kind of award, you might say, what kind of New York Times bestseller? You might add that as well. So a best-selling book in Canada is a book that sells 5,000 copies. That's the same whether it's a fiction book or whether it's a nonfiction book. And we talked about that last week. Actually, I think there is a difference. I think it's 3,000 books if it's a fiction book and 5,000 books if it's a nonfiction book. And that is considered a Canadian bestseller. That's a lot of books to sell, as you can imagine. And so and of course, you've probably heard of books like Harry Potter and those books that sell millions of books. And of course, those are like super bestsellers. But on average, a bestseller, like a New York Times bestseller, is a book that has sold a lot of books over a short time period. For a book to be a bestseller, it just means it sold 5,000 books. It might have taken it 3 years to do that. But for a book to be called a New York Times seller, the people who assess the books and what they do is they check the sales in a certain number of stores. Not all the stores, of course, because they can't do that. But they have a couple of stores that are representative of where people buy books. And then if that book sells, it might be 5,000 in a week, 5,000 to 10,000 books in a week, then they get on that list. Sometimes books are on that list for 1 week, and then they never achieve that again. But that author, for the rest of their lives, can say that they're a New York Times bestseller. Wow. And then other books stay on the list for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Oh. And so, yeah, those are the ones that that people really look forward to. And the reasons are they figure you can trust a book that people liked a lot. If that many people bought it, then it must be good. And that's kind of why people like to look for New York Times bestsellers. So it's a good idea to do that, Kobe. Although there's a lot of fantastic books that are not yet New York Times bestsellers. So the thing is that gazillions of books are printed each year. And in fact, I just checked before this meeting. I'll bet no one can guess how many books are published each year in the world. Just make a guess. And we'll see if anyone can get close.
I think in the chat, but go ahead.
22 million.
22 million is Mickey's guess.
Okay, we'll wait to see what other people say.
Skip says 80 million. That's a lot of books. 80 million.
No, I changed my mind. 100 million.
Okay, Mickey now says 100 million. 900 million. Hold on. 900. Okay, wait. Maya says 2 billion. Audrey says 100 billion. You guys like the billions. Egypt says 800 million. Did I miss the 900? Okay, yep, 900. Giovanni says 67.2 million. I love your precision. Adonis has a lot of numbers.
A gazillion. We'll call that A
Yeah,
gazillion.
like, I don't even know what number that would
7
be.
billion.
Thomas says 2.2 million. Keziah says 24 billion. 100 million from Janaya. Thomas, okay, 2.2 billion. They can see your search.
Oh, now you know.
Somebody
You can
searched it.
see, I'm showing you, and see how it says 10 awful truths is the number of books that are created each year. I was just checking the numbers because when you guys were saying those numbers, I thought, wow, because the previous number I saw was 2.2 million. I'm thinking, no, that has to be wrong, because I know it must be more like you guys are saying, because I thought, oh no, I didn't do my research right. And you guys are more right than the number I was going to say, which was 2.2 million. But I think that's because I was talking about ones that are traditionally published, and in a smaller geographical area. But as you saw, it's like 282 million is what people were saying. A lot of those are self-published books, and whereas a lot are, published by the traditional publishers. So if that many books are published a year, and you can imagine how many are in a bookstore, how can they find yours? Like, what, like, can you imagine in that, it's almost like a little pebble in the sea in a way. Doesn't it feel like that? If you were putting out one book, and yet 282 million are published in a year. Well, let me tell you how you make sure people find your book. So that's, marketing and PR really. That what I mentioned earlier. Oh, and one thing I want to say is that is that lots of people don't do a lot of work that they need to do in order to help people find their book. So on average, the people who self-publish their book sell only about 250 books throughout the whole, like they publish it and they only ever sell 250 books, which isn't bad really. That's not bad at all. But if you think like how much you would get back would be half, like what if your book was $10 and you sold 250? That means that you've made 2,500 thereabouts, right? And it might have cost you more to make the book than the amount you got back. So it's a good idea to market your book and do everything you can so people can find it. So, because what you want to do is tell everyone that you just wrote an awesome book. And so how do you do that? For one thing, the fact that a lot of people now aren't going to the bookstore as much makes it a bit easier, because it used to be that people, if they wanted a book, they go to the bookstore. But as you can see, if 282 million books are published a year, you can't fit them all in one bookstore, can you? Because they'll have 10 of one, 3 of another, and lots in the back as well. So there's a very limited number of books that they can fit in the bookstore. But online, you can have access to all of them. And of course, you don't want all of them. Maybe you just want to know about how to fly a kite, or which type of dog to choose as the best pet, or how to name your hedgehog. And I'll tell you why mine is named Bug at the end of this story. And, so you don't need to go browsing to find that, because you know specifically which book you want. So that comes to your advantage. So what you do to make sure that people hear about your book is that you choose really good keywords, because there's lots of people who'll be wanting to learn to find your comics. I forget I don't remember who it was who writes comics, but there's lots of people who love to write comics. So you just want to contact them. You don't want to contact the people who are trying to find out how to choose the best type of pets. So you only market to those people. And the world is big. Canada's big. There's bound to be lots of people with your interests. So how you do this is you announce that you wrote an awesome book by telling people, and you can tell people verbally. You can tell people through Facebook, which is usually how people tell people. And you do that by, general announcing, but also some people purchase Facebook ads. You can do the same in Amazon, where you can purchase ads, but the fact is that just by putting your book on Amazon, you're exposing it to a lot of people who go on Amazon every day to find books just like yours. So never let it discourage you knowing that that many books are published each year, because you only need to sell to 250 or 3,000 or 5,000 or however many thousand of people who are interested in your subject. You're not looking to sell to the whole world anyway, and you can find them through your computer. So that is most of what I wanted to tell you today. And so first of all, I'd like to know if there's any questions.
Okay, are there any questions for Miss Jackie on maybe how to publish? Go ahead.
When you want to make like a book club or something, how do you like publish it? Like how do you how do you do that?
How do you make a book club?
Yeah.
Like Oprah's book list? How to get into book clubs?
No, how do you make a book club?
How do you make a book club?
Oh, well, that's a good question, because like other things, like for example, when you join a club based on the things you like to do, there's other people who like to write, who like to read books. And so you form a book club just by telling people that you'd like to form one. For example, I'm in a book club, and it was actually someone wrote it. Oh, I guess I shouldn't really be talking about Facebook as a way. Because kids can't go on Facebook until they're 13, but there is a child's version. But when you're actually selling a book, I'm just going back a bit about that, you would get the support of an adult who could do a lot of that advertising for you on Facebook. But in terms of like how you create a book club, you're usually wanting to do it to create a book club with the people around you. So for example, with people you know from school or from church or from your neighborhood. So you would tell them and you say, hey, I want to start a book club. And the first book we're going to do is, and you choose a book. And that is usually all you need to do to start a club like that. Announce that you're going to do it, find people who like to read as well as you do, and then choose a book, and there you go.
Joshua would like to know, how do you get your book printed and published on Amazon? That's a really good question.
That is an excellent question. So I'm going to go back to that page. So as we discussed before, there's several types of books. And that often what you do is you get the words, you get any illustrations, and you put them through a computer program. So the designer, that's the name of that is the title of the type of person who does that type of work. They create a file that can be used to produce, one type of file would be used to produce a print book, and then they would give that to a printer. And then the printer would take that file and put it through their presses and create the books for you. Once you have those books printed, you mail them to Amazon. There's a bit more to it, of course. You have to create an account with Amazon. I'll show you. Here, let's see if you can see, but because as you can imagine that, because we helped, his name is Kwanu Kwane Karmu, he's from Liberia, and he wrote this excellent book. And so we helped him, create an account on Amazon so that people could find him as an author. So that's what you have to do. So you have your spot on Amazon. Then you mail the print versions to Amazon. And then whenever anyone buys one, because as you see here, people can buy a print version, then Amazon ships it to them. Or of course, there's other ways to sell, because of course you would ship it to the bookstore, or you would, if someone went to your website or asked you for one, you could mail it to them or just give it to them. But in order to get that print version, it goes through a printer. For the digital version, you have that file created by your designer, and there's a system within Amazon called Create Space, where you upload the file to Amazon, and from there they do all the technological work for you. It's quite easy to do, actually. They make it really simple for you to upload a file to Amazon and to create a store so that people can get it. But it's all through softwares. So through software that you can do that. but it's accessible to anyone. Anyone can create a book, and anyone can get it on Amazon.
Fantastic. Let me see if there's any other questions for Miss Jackie. Adonis says he would sell his book at Arby's. You must really love Arby's.
And you can, there's so, like when you go to a museum, they sell books there too. They don't sell books just in bookstores. When you go to the grocery store, they have books. You see books in Canadian Tire. Where were you saying?
McDonald's, you know, sometimes they give away those in your Happy Meals. They have books.
They
sometimes.
have little books.
Yeah.
Yes. There's so many places that you can sell books. It's unlimited. Use your imagination, and there's usually you can find a way to tie your book to whatever place you want to sell it.
Coy had a really good question. He says, how do you make the books look so real? He means the pictures. I guess if you're doing illustrations, like how do they make them look so amazing?
So in these cases, see what happens now with the illustrations is that there are lots of colleges where you can learn to become an illustrator. So it is so amazing how it works now, because you hand draw it and then you scan it into your computer, and then you can do work on the computer to work to improve the colors and things like that with it, in terms of illustrations. Sometimes illustrations are photographs, and that's why they look, not illustrations, sorry, but sometimes the art in a book comes from a photograph. But definitely part of the reason they look so vivid these days is because of the combination of hand drawing and then pulling it through a computer program and then printing from there. Like, you know, you can then, especially with comics, oh my goodness, the process, that's a whole new talk. Like there's several jobs in doing a comic. You have the person who does the art, you have the inker, which is the person who does the black lines, you have someone who writes the words, and of course the person who writes it. So there's, it costs $50,000 to create a comic book when you're doing it for a traditional publisher, because of the number of people involved.
Wow.
Yeah, it's but you can, as you can see, you can do ones that people enjoy in lots of different ways as well.
Wow.
And I know that because I worked with all those people to create a graphic novel, as it's called. I didn't actually work on a comic, but a graphic novel is what I'm saying costs that much to produce.
Wow. I didn't know they're that expensive, but I guess there's a lot of people that like comics, right?
Yes. Yep. And with big companies, of course, they're selling gazillions of them. So that investment will be recouped by the sales.
Because I would like to know, is there someone who can guide me through the publishing process?
Yes, that's exactly what I do. And I hope that this talk has helped do that as well. And so people like me are called book coaches or publishing consultants. And that's exactly what we do. We help people through the publishing process when they're self-publishing, but you can also get that kind of guidance if you choose to go through traditional publishers. And those are where most of the books you see in the bookstore are produced. And in that case, the author submits their manuscript to that publisher, and the publisher does all the work of publishing, of like illustrating it and designing and all that work, so that the writer can keep on writing and they don't have to worry about all this bit. But when you're a self-publisher, you have to be in business yourself and get a team to help you do all the things that a traditional publisher would do for you.
That is awesome. Just typing back to one of the kiddies. So there you go, Maya. Let me see. Any more questions from the kids in the chat? Nope, no more questions from Mickey either. All right, let's thank Miss Jackie.
Thank you. This was so fun. It was an honor. It is an honor to speak with you. And I can't wait to see all of the books that you guys do one day. And if you have any questions, just let Stacey know.
And Giovanni says thanks.
You're very welcome.
I love you. Thanks, says Nicole. Amazing. So let's finish up. Okay, let's finish up. Miss Jackie, if you could stop sharing your screen and then I'll share mine. And then
Okay.
thank you, Miss Jackie. You did an amazing job. I learned.
Thank you. Thank you. I had such fun.
Here we go. All right, let's share my screen and then we will wrap up this week. All right, last question. The question we ask on every KiddieNomics: what would happen if kids became more financially literate? And our answer is real change that impacts the world, right? Because we feel the more financially literate that you become, the better choices and decisions that you guys will make that will positively affect your financial outcome, then you guys will have a great, successful financial future. And therefore, finances won't be something that will hold you back, but propel you forward to maybe do a passion project and things that you really want to do that will help give back to our world and be kind to others. And that's what we love here on KiddieNomics, right? That's what we want for you. All right. First off, before I get into the schedule that's coming up, it is November, so that means that it is still Financial Literacy Month for Canada. Yay! All right, so Coy, you won our prize last week and you wanted to know what your prize was. This is your prize. This is your prize. It is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? It's the best-selling. Oh, so we just talked about this. It's the best-selling financial literacy book
in New York.
Is it on the New York Best Time Seller? I'm sure it probably is.
It should be right here.
Well, nope, it's not on there, but I'm sure it probably was. Anyways, so this is going to be a prize toy. I will mail it out to you. And because we already had another winner, Thomas, this is your prize. So it's a journal to write in all your ideas. This is from one of our past KiddieNomics experts, Miss Uchichi Izrike Bossi. She does the Designing My Dream Life. And this is a great journal to keep. You can write in all your ideas and what's coming up for you. So I'll be mailing this out to you. If you could please have your parents send me an email and then I'll follow up with your parents. Okay. So that is for you for this week, right? And
last one?
No, we'll save the other prize for next week, right? We'll save, yes. We'll save the other prize for next week. We'll save the prize for next week. So you'll never know when I'm going to ask a question to win a prize. So you always have to be paying attention,
and
right?
You still owe me a prize.
Yes. I owe you a prize.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the schedule that's coming up for the next couple of weeks, right? I know, Joel, you were asking me if we're going to have KiddieNomics on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Because Friday does fall on Christmas and New Year's Day. So the last KiddieNomics for 2020 is going to be on December 4th, Friday, December 4th. And then we'll be back in the new year in 2021. I cannot believe the year is up already, but in 2021, KiddieNomics will be back, and our first week will be January 8th, and we'll be talking about stocks with Mr. Tim Nash. So next week, we did have Miss April Mullings, but sorry, unfortunately, she won't be able to make it next week. So we will have Miss Natalie Lewin. We're going to be talking about real estate. And then the following week, to wrap up Financial Literacy Month, I think this is very, very giving, telling, we're going to do financial planning for kids, right? On Friday, November 27th. So that's going to be with Mr. Michael Thorpe, and we're going to talk about financial planning, right? And then the last week is going to be with Mr. Ryan Knight on Friday, December 4th, and he's going to be talking about grants for kids, which is, so if you guys want to start your business, and sometimes you may need capital, which is money to start your business, there are some grants out there that will give you money to help you start your business, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about with Mr. Ryan Knight. Let me just double check if there's anything in the chat before I continue on. 1 second. Oh, my birthday is the day after KiddieNomics is over. Oh, sorry, Adonis. don't know. If you remind me, we'll wish you happy birthday, okay? On December 4th. So on December 4th, we'll wish you happy birthday, okay? Giovanni, yay, 2021 KiddieNomics. Yes, that's right. Don't worry, we will not be stopping KiddieNomics. We'll be here for you guys week after week, every Friday, okay? Helping you guys learn financial literacy skills. All right, so let's talk. I always want to hear from you guys. If you guys, our goal is to create tiny financial literacy ambassadors around the globe. As you know, we have kids watching from like India and Brazil and the Caribbean and all over the United States and all over Canada. Those are just the ones that I know about. So there's different things in different places that you may want to really learn about. If you can just tell me so that I can have it scheduled on KiddieNomics. And I'm sure other people want to learn that topic too. So just send me an email at kiddienomics101@gmail.com. And of course, you can always like us and follow us on Instagram,
Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and
TikTok. Yes, and TikTok, which we have no videos because she hasn't done the videos yet. Okay.
To learn.
All right. All right. Anyways, use the hashtag KiddieNomics or Ask KiddieNomics. Don't forget that every single one of our KiddieNomics are recorded. So you can go back to our YouTube channel on KiddieNomics and you will see all of our past videos. And this one will be up today by 8 o'clock this evening. So you will be able to watch this one back in case you missed anything during the webinar. All right. Congratulations, Koi. Congratulations, Thomas, on your prizes. And don't forget to message me if you guys have anything. So have a great week. Oh, thank you, Miss Jackie, once again. Yeah. And you guys have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week. And bye. Bye.